Hello, this is Fear Dragon, and welcome to the After Hours Gaming League Season 4 Preseason Cast. My name is Fear Dragon once again, and I'm here to cast one of the games from the preseason of the After Hours Gaming League. Pretty much just said the exact same thing twice, but it's okay. Now you guys all understand how awesome this is going to be, because we're going to be watching Amazon versus EA. Before we kind of jump into some of the other information out there, we're going to go ahead and jump in and introduce these two fabulous players sitting right in front of us as we spawn down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, Heavy Rain. On top of the red Protoss player, he is going to be representing Team Amazon. It is Amazon's Kale. Actually is registered as a random player. So, in fact, this was a random Protoss selection. Kale, not afraid to roll the dice, but is his opponent, who is spawning up here in the top side of Heavy Rain as the blue Protoss player, representing Team EA Electronic Arts. It is Synth. Now, Synth is actually selected to play Protoss. He's decided to take the route of decision, and ooh, the question is, actually, this is a really cute move by Kale. I mean, before we get into what the After Hours Gaming League is, I just want to say, Kale, props for this one. I mean, because look at this, all right? You're your opponent's Protoss player. You are looking around the base. You're like, oh, where's your pylon? Where's your gateway? Where is anything of yours? And oh, is he gonna see it? Okay, he does see it. He does see it. That is so important. Otherwise, he could have accidentally started over preparing for some kind of proxy gateway shenanigans. But regardless, you know, gateway is going to be going up, and kind of a nice little wall-in coming up from here from Synth. But After Hours Gaming League, as this game does turn out to be a little bit more of the norm, almost Wings of Liberty style, Protoss versus Protoss, where you end up having one gas taken, and then you eventually grab that second gas, because there's not any of that double gas action. But After Hours Gaming League is a great place for people who work full-time jobs at really big and important companies, obviously filled with a lot of smart people, to kind of just show that, hey, you know what, we also have time to play some StarCraft, and we also have some time to have some fun, and that is what After Hours Gaming League is all about. So guys, definitely check it out. I'm going to be casting a lot of the games. Synth, of course, going to be playing a lot of the games as he types in 1414. That's actually how many games he wants to play this season. We'll have to see if he can accomplish that. But you know, the other nice thing is that actually the winner of the After Hours Gaming League doesn't just win some sort of prize pool money. In fact, they actually win prize pool money that gets donated directly to the charity of their choice. And Amazon, of course, selecting Child's Play. Amazon does have two teams, both those teams donating to Child's Play. I'll read the quote later if I have time, because we already had some proxy shenanigans going down from Synth, who is from EA, and is actually, their EA is donating to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, so that should be pretty awesome. Make-A-Wish Foundation has been around for a long time, but hold that thought, we end up having that probe come in over here. Oh my god, this probe is actually getting a really nice scout off, because he sees, okay, there's one pylon, there's two pylons. Now, does Synth realize, or, sorry, does Kale realize that only seeing two pylons right now could indicate there might be a proxy? He doesn't know for sure, because you know your opponent could always be putting down a pylon over here, warping on the low ground or something, but you have to be prepared for that kind of stuff. It is likely going to be a proxy Stargate, and yes, there we end up seeing the Stargate popping down. So Synth, very likely going to be going for some kind of crazy fast oracles, chrono boosting that out, and trying to get as much damage in as possible. Now, we do actually have Kale over here getting out a handful of stalkers. He's going to actually have a pretty decent number of stalkers, considering that second gateway is going to be finishing up now as well as the third gateway. Or actually, no, that's a Twilight Council. So it's going to be a potential Blink Stalker play over here from Kale, just based on how many stalkers he's been making. And that could prove really potent against some sort of fast oracle play that we end up seeing over here from Synth. So I'm a little bit worried for Team EA right now. They're going to be in a lot of trouble if they cannot make this oracle play work. But the Twilight Council is now finishing up. Blink is on the way. The stalkers are not necessarily positioned in the best place to deal with the oracle, and it's going to be out very soon. It's going to be very difficult, actually, for Synth to do a whole lot, because that Stargate's not going to really be able to do too much after it produces a couple of these oracles if he cannot make this work. But here we end up seeing Stalkers a little bit out of position. The oracle now coming in over here. One probe goes down, two probes go down, three probes, four probes, almost gets a 5th, but now the Stalkers are chasing down that Oracle. The Oracle taking a little bit of hull damage, but he is zippy as heck. He's going to get the heck out of there, and not really taking too much more damage than he needed to. Now the second Oracle is almost finished, and now we're going to end up seeing some really, really annoying aggression coming out over here, because now Synth is kind of chasing these Stalkers over to this side of the map, but this side of the base, and now he can come in from the other side with his Oracle, or actually he could just regroup in with that other Oracle. Now I want to note that Blink is getting very, very close to finishing up. We can see that Chrono Boost coming out. He realizes, Kale does realize how important that Blink is going to be in trying to pick off those Oracles, because if he can pick those off, he's going to have free reign to kind of move out across the map. But now we end up seeing Blink is not quite finished, and the Oracles are trying to find a location to do some damage. The Oracles manage to snag 1 probe, 2 probe, and one of them does unfortunately end up falling. But honestly, he's already managed to kill 7 probes so far. As long as he can keep this other Oracle alive, it should be worth it. Blink is so close to finishing. Oh, okay, 15 seconds away from finishing, and that Oracle would have been a goner. But Synth gonna realize, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and back up now, because he has an expansion on the way. It's halfway completed. He's really nicely going to be ahead of his opponent, especially considering he has that 33 probe lead. I mean, what more could you ask for in this kind of situation as Synth? As long as he can hold off any kind of big counter aggression all in from his opponent, he should be in a good spot. But you have to remember that this Oracle is keeping all of these Stalkers at home. These Blink Stalkers could be so annoying and aggressive on the other side of the map if they had the opportunity to, but they don't right now. In fact, they have to stay over here at home, because otherwise he'll just end up losing so many of these probes, unless he at least warps in 3 Stalkers, which is something that I would love to see him do. Is now, yeah, he's moving across the map, and he just needs to warp in. Actually, he has a forge, let's be honest. He could actually just go ahead and plant down 1 cannon or something, and 1 Stalker should be able to hold off that Oracle. But Oracle getting ready to move in. He does not have a lot of energy. You have to remember, it takes 25 energy for that Pulsar Beam to actually activate. So we'll wait and see whether or not he's going to be able to make that work as these Stalkers moving in over here. There is a single Void Ray, and actually there's a lot of Stalkers over here for Kale, but he does not have a proxy pylon. That's so important to remember. A Photon Cannon going down over here. It looks like 1 Stalker does get picked off immediately, and some nice Blink Micro actually coming out from Kale. He's managing to keep almost every single one of his Stalkers alive, only loses 1 or 2 Stalkers in that engagement, and managed to do a substantial amount of damage to Synth. But unfortunately for him, he does not have that proxy pylon. He needed to send a probe out with that. And oh, the Oracle caught a little bit off guard over here. He was building up quite a bit of energy, and the Blink Stalker's unable to finish it off, unfortunately. But the cannon, it may get lucky over here as 1 shot goes down, and the Stalkers pick off the remainder of that Oracle's health. And finally, Kale is going to be feeling a little bit better having picked off that Oracle, but he tried to do some damage over at his opponent's natural expansion. It did not work. He could not break the front because he didn't have that proxy pylon set up. He could not reinforce, and he is now so far behind on that natural expansion. I mean, he's also down 13 workers, and you have to remember that's only going to increase in distance, as we can see that Kale realizes, you know, he's making that natural expansion, but he says, I'm only on a 1 base economy, my minerals are dwindling, I have to make units and do some damage. And he's only kind of making workers right now, whereas his opponent is making 2 workers at a time. That's not a situation we want to be in as Kale, unless you feel confident that you can do a lot of damage and punish your opponent. But we'll have to wait and see, because the Dark Shrine is finished up over here for Kale. This is going to be the response, but I'm not sure how much I agree with that, because Kale did end up seeing over here, when he did that aggression, at that Photon Cannon was building, that there was a forge there. So that means that that front is almost definitely going to be covered in terms of detection. The Dark Templars will not be able to sneak their way in to the main base. It's not going to be something he can rely on. He's going to have to maybe try and get lucky by, I like that he's at least splitting off 1 Dark Templar over here, just not charging him with all 4 of them, but he does have to maybe do some sort of distraction move. Maybe, actually, this is something that I've seen some players do. Actually, if you move in with your Dark Templars, on a regular move command through the main base, while you're charging with the rest of your army, the Dark Templars that are just on a regular move command, not actually attacking or doing anything, not posing any kind of threat, won't actually be targeted down by the stalkers. If your opponent does not notice them and target fire them down, they could actually just walk straight up over into the main base. So that is something that could have happened, but no, we're gonna end up seeing that morph into an Archon, or 2 Archons I should say, which, you know, is actually a pretty good move considering we have the Void Ray, we have the Immortal out, and a lot of Stalkers. I mean, nothing that will really deal with the Archons super duper well. Archons are such a difficult unit to actually create a composition to use against, unless you have just a ton of Blink Stalkers. And we do actually have a handful of Stalkers, and Blink is on the way, so Synth should be okay. But we end up having Robotics Bay coming out, and with Thermal Lance coming out on the way as well, that means that we're going to potentially be seeing a lot of Colossus coming out over here for our EA player. But he's going to want extra gas, so he's going to try and take that 3rd expansion, but very soon he's going to realize, oh, there's a Dark Templar over here. Now, luckily, the Observer is right over there. He's going to say, well, hey, that wasn't very nice of you. You're going to pay for your life with that one. And, you know, this game is turning out to be a little bit more macro-oriented than initially expected. I mean, we started off with a proxy Stargate. We had a bunch of 1-base Blink Stalkers, a very delayed expansion from Kale, but it's starting to shift out into the later stages of the game. I still do feel like Synth has the big advantage here because he had the natural expansion up for so much longer. And it's not just about the minerals, it's mainly about that gas, especially for a Protoss player. You want those 3rd and 4th gas guys because that's when you can start doing things like getting Colossus up, you start getting other tech up, and you can just see Synth has better tech right now. Got that +1 weapons research much faster than his opponent Kale, and +2 weapons is going to be finished up very soon. Thermal Lance is on the way, Colossus has Blink Stalkers, has, you know, of course that one little nice Void Ray mixed in, even has an Immortal or 2 in the mix. Whereas if you take a look at Kale's unit composition, yeah, there's a decent number of units over here, but it's basically the only real tech unit in here are those 4 Archons, and then the fact that he has Blink on those Stalkers. It's not going to be entirely ideal, although we do actually have charge on these Zealots, so that could play a nice little role over here depending on the engagement angle. Because if you actually have enough charge Zealots before your opponent has a decent number of Colossus, and you engage in a very open area, I mean, you can devastate a Blink Stalker based army in the right position. It's all about the positioning and where the engagement ends up happening. So we'll wait and see, is Kale actually going to move out? He does actually have that proxy pylon set up this time. This is going to be a key and critical part about being aggressive, as we saw what it cost him earlier on in this game. But now with 2 Colossus out and a 3rd on the way, will his timing be a little bit too late? 3 Colossus is a critical number for being able to do a lot of damage over here, and we actually end up having +3 weapons on the way. +2 weapons is already finished up. +2 weapon Colossus versus the, oh, I like the timing over here. Look at this. Perfect timing. +1 armor finishes immediately as he moves in over here. But this engagement angle is actually not too great over here for Kale. Look at this. All the Zealots kind of filtered in, and now a nice time warp going down, stopping so many of those Zealots from making the retreat they want to make, losing quite a few of them. We're going to have a reinforcing wave over here from Kale. Does Synth actually overextend just a little bit too much? He's a little bit vulnerable over here, and the Archon's now getting a really great position, taking so much of that fire. In the meanwhile, we end up having another reinforcing wave of Stalkers come in for Synth, but is it going to be enough? The Archons have now dissipated, and now we're going to see Kale having to retreat. The proxy pylon, this is the only proxy pylon available. If this proxy pylon gets taken out, that is going to put an end to this push from Kale, and Kale just does not have anything to defend that proxy pylon, so he's going to end up having to retreat all the way back home and allow his opponent Synth to have this 3rd expansion that he has not even started yet. Is going to allow his opponent to finish up +3 weapons, which he has not even started, or actually finished +2 weapons yet, although he does have the armor upgrade. But I mean, how is he even going to be able to hold off against this aggression over here? The Colossus a little bit vulnerable, but I'm not sure it matters too much, as the Immortals really going to be pushing in as well and just doing devastating amounts of damage, even if those Colossus got picked off. The Archons getting picked off, a handful of charge Zealots being warped in, but to what end? As they're going to have to run down that ramp, and it's going to be a very long and arduous journey for them as they charge in to their death, or more units being reinforced in. The Colossus actually taking quite a bit of damage, but it's just not quite enough to be able to win this game, as now we end up seeing the entire army of Kale been cleaned up. A Warp Prism actually going to be coming in to warp in over into the main base, rebuttaling with some charge Zealots of his own, and these charge Zealots have slightly better upgrades than his opponent, blinking into the main base. this is looking like it's probably going to be the end for the Amazon random player, or I should say. So GG gets called, and we are going to end up seeing EA taking a 1-0 lead in this series. So really, really well done by our Protoss player Synth against the random player. And look at this. This is a sign of a good player getting that 4th expansion up, even after knowing that he was in a great position. So really well done. But guys, don't go anywhere. Be sure to click on the link that I'm going to be putting somewhere. It's going to be some sort of annotation somewhere on the screen. Maybe it'll be over here. Maybe it'll be over here. Maybe I'll just make it cover the entire video. But likely that would be annoying, so I'm not going to do that. But go ahead and click that link over to game number 2. It's probably been there. I don't know why you're actually still waiting around and not clicking that link, because don't you want to find out who wins in this next episode? I mean, don't you want to find out who wins game number 2? The map is going to be a Daedalus Point, and that's going to be an awesome map. Why are you guys still... Okay, you guys have 3 seconds to go to the next game, because I'm tired of waiting. You're tired of waiting. Let's just do it.